This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. So, Chrissy, I'm not sure what all you know about EPT or if you've thought a little bit about what you might want to work on today in the session.
No, I actually haven't looked up anything about it. As I said to Annette, I know about polarity therapy, but I don't know this one. Probably in terms of my blocks, one of the biggest ones is a creative block. Do you work with that? Is that what you, a sort of emotional stuff? Yeah. I mean, this goes way back. This is to do with, it started with hoarding, and I've got this overwhelm now to get rid of stuff, but it's quite overwhelming. So I think it goes back a long way, a long way. I used to have asthma attacks as a child and breathe my way through them. Very life-threatening. Never went to hospital, probably should have done. So I think it's bound up with that, but whatever the reason, that is what's happening. So my main problem is too much stuff, still a little bit, I'm not afraid to get rid of it. It's like, oh, where do I start?
Okay.
And at the moment, it's also mainly paperwork. Yeah. Added into that, there is also an element I know of control. It's OCD stuff, because that goes hand in glove with it, you know.
Okay.
So that would be useful. Very. That okay?
So have you tried other kinds of modalities or therapies to work on this problem?
I'm a therapist anyway, and yeah, I have. Sorry, I'll take those off. But one of them might be slightly working, but I think whatever this is, it's taking its time. It's deeply embedded, if you like, in the way my brain works. So getting rid of it is probably not easy. It's called energy alignment. But,
Okay.
So how does yours work?
Okay, I'm making it up. So okay. EPT it's a different approach in emotional healthcare, and it works well for anybody on a wide range of issues. It could be a physical body pain, it could be something like what you're describing, it could be a traumatic event, a particular relationship that's troubled.
Yeah.
And we're going to use a 4-step procedure: focus, find it, fix it, forgive it. And forgiving is really the key to the therapy. So I use the other steps and the tools to get to kind of the root originating memory, when you first had some block with this creativity, or maybe related to the hoarding or the trouble with control or OCD. We're gonna go for the original event, and then use forgiveness coaching at the end of our session to rewrite a story for you and rewrite the possibilities for your life.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yeah. Well, actually, probably the thing that triggered the asthma, which was fear, was I was born with a cord around my throat. So I think that's pretty relevant as well.
It seems like it fits. Like asthma is, you're not able to breathe, and as a child you were not able to breathe. So that makes sense already.
Yeah. So yes, it had a very strange side effect in that I don't panic easily over anything. Because when you're in a state where you can't breathe, you can't do that. You can't do anything except breathe. You had to focus on breathing, and that's it. You can't have the luxury of panicking because you don't have the breath or the energy, which is interesting. So that was a sort of byproduct. I was diagnosed at 18 months, so with asthma. So Yeah, it's been going on. I mean, it's now held in check, sure, by medication and has been for some years. I also have lung damage, but that's another story, really. This probably laid the pathways to the lung damage, which of course I didn't know. Nobody knew at the time. So yeah, it was traumatic having these asthma attacks. There's no getting away from it. It's very traumatic, very life-threatening. Literally having to hang on from breath to breath because I knew that if I didn't, I wouldn't be here, you know.
That is really scary. I
Yeah.
haven't had experience, but I can imagine that is terrifying.
Yeah.
Well, I just wonder, going back to your original focus of hoarding and the overwhelm of too much stuff and really not knowing where to start with it. So if you could just kind of wave a magic wand and make that look any way you wanted right now, what would that look like for you?
Well, if it just went, it would be like a whole weight going. It would be literally clearing, lightning. Yeah.
And we know that we have to go through a process to get there. So, I mean, ideally, I'm guessing that you would have a clear beginning point and maybe the structure that you need to take action and clear the space. Does that sound like what you're going for?
Yeah, and people say, oh, spend half an hour a day or just do this little bit. Yes, I'm very good at procrastinating, so
Okay.
It's like my brain needs tweaking to go, yeah, I've done a little bit in the past and that was very good, so I know a bit about how it would feel, or does feel, but not on a massive scale. And I'm really worried about anybody else coming in and just, you see these programs where people just come into houses and I think, no, because the stress level would be phenomenal.
I'm going to change my view let me take a moment so
Okay.
I only want to see us on the screen. There we go. Got it. All right. Well, I think I have enough to get started if you're feeling ready.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to use magnets in the procedure. And since I know you don't have magnets, right?
Sorry?
You don't have a set of magnets, I'm guessing.
Oh, no, I don't. No.
So if you would use your hands as magnets for me, sometimes I'm going to ask you to use green magnet and sometimes I'm going to ask you to use red. So green will be the palm side and red will be the back of your hand. So if you would just use both palm sides for me and put them on either sides of your head, we're just going to establish rapport with each other. It's a way of centering, it balances your brain, helps me muscle test you better. So if you would just do that, and as you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, I want you to gently squeeze the side of your head as you breathe in. And we're going to do that 3 times together. So breath in and out. Breath in and out. And one more time. Okay, and if you can switch, I'm going to switch a thumb in between my eyebrows and a finger there's a little notch at the base of your skull. I just do the best you can, and it's the same motion otherwise, that we're going to squeeze in and lift up as you breathe in and let it out. Breathe in and let it out. Breath in and let it out. Very good job.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to use self-muscle testing since I can't physically use your arm today. And it's just a way of asking your body yes and no questions that will help me get to that originating memory that I was talking about in the beginning. Okay. So I need you to right now think about the situation, the creative block and all this stuff that isn't moving the way you would like it to be and is feeling heavy. I want you to think of all that for me.
Okay.
Two pointing. So that's just a quick procedure, 2 pointing. As I muscle test, I touch my emotion points and see if there's an emotional component to the issue that you're presenting. And based on my muscle testing, there definitely is, because it feels strong when I hold my emotion points. So I'm just going to ask your body how distressing this problem is for you.
Very. It's yeah, it's like a constant worry and weight, actually. Heaviness.
I'm testing at like a 9 to 10 out of on a 10 scale. So that's like matching what you're saying. Is there any elation when you think about this? Overwhelm and all the stuff. I'm just muscle testing now. I know you can't see what I'm doing, but muscle testing and filling in some kind of ways of measuring how the session goes. I'll test through these things at the beginning and then I'll retest them at the end.
Okay.
All right. No elation. Show me the stages of healing for Chrissy on this issue. 1. All right, if you would, while you're still thinking about the focus, the creative block, the hoarding, the overwhelming weight feelings, if you could say aloud for me, I can show up.
I can show up.
Okay, I can pay attention.
I can pay attention.
Okay, that one. I can tell the truth.
I can tell the truth.
And I can let go.
I can let go. That
That one is, yeah, that one is interesting.
Yeah.
So those pay attention and let go I tested where your body's not congruent with those two at this point. Okay. Almost done with the testing part. Then I'll get to asking you some things. All right, so I'm muscle testing that there's 2 issues that we can work through today that will help you move through this block. And I know you don't know what it is, you don't have to, but it's just, I'm kind of asking you to give your body permission to allow that to come up. Okay?
Yeah.
So think of the first issue for me. Intangible possessions. Okay. Who's is there just you and a partner in your home, or who lives with you now?
My daughter.
Your daughter? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm asking because I'm testing that. So the current story is you're feeling grief with possessions, but I'm muscle testing that the grief doesn't belong to you.
Mm.
So I can ask if it's your daughter or maybe somebody else close to you.
Right.
Your daughter works. What's her name?
Rowan.
Rowan. Okay. So can you help me fill in why Rowan might feel that? Why might Rowan feel grief currently with possessions?
Probably more like frustration with my possessions.
Yeah, I'd say
Actually.
that's accurate.
What do you reckon?
Yeah, frustration that the house is like this, and I'm picking up on your grief, and I think I can feel the grief in everything in the house. I don't know if she heard that or if she wants me to.
I do hear you.
Okay. Put it down there. Oh, a little one.
Yes, little one who's not supposed to be in here right now.
Oh well, happens.
Snuck in. Okay. So I'm just going to muscle test if this is on track. So I feel Rowan's grief with my possessions because I can feel grief. Yeah, feel grief because I can feel grief and frustration and everything in the house.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask your body now if there's an original time in your life where you felt the same or a similar feeling of grief as what you're feeling now from Rowan. There is that conception to birth, birth to one, so it's early. Is it birth? Is it one?
Oh, Rowan's just gone out the room, by the way. She's doing her own thing.
That's okay. That's okay. Okay. So I'm testing at age 1, it's somebody else's grief as well. So I'm going to assume maybe mom or dad, since that's the closest people at that time usually. So I feel mom's grief at age 1.
Wow. Certainly used to get very worried listening to me.
They did.
Oh God, yeah. I used to wheeze a lot. I didn't just have problem breathing. When I did breathing, I was wheezing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with the air getting through the tubes, difficulty with the air getting through, obviously, the tubes. And
Yeah.
oh God, yeah, they used to worry a lot. They were very worried.
Okay. So I'm thinking it's your dad's grief with you at age 1. And I'm just trying different reasons why he might have felt that. I'm asking because I can't breathe. Does anything come to your mind when you hear that statement that might fill the rest of it in? So I felt my dad's grief with me at age 1 because
They felt helpless, actually. So yeah,
it does test that he feels helpless. He can't fix it.
yeah.
And which that's
I mean, at the time, they didn't have lung problems themselves, so they didn't know. Although my father's side did, his family. But yeah, there was no medication except a medicine called the Linctus, because in those days, years and years ago, they never put the names on. Later, I realised it was Benylin, but at the time, what it did was it made me sleepy, which made me relax, so that I could actually rest, which was probably a good thing, actually. But I mean, there was no medication to actually open up the airways at all that I had, which is why I had to breathe my way through these blasted attacks. Triggered by cats and excitement and running.
Cats, excitement.
Yeah, going to a party, I often didn't get there, or if I got there, I would then have an asthma attack, or even my own parties. I used to sit, lie on the settee while everybody else was having fun. Yeah. So therefore, also coming in was this thing that I wasn't allowed to enjoy myself. It was being taken away, which is almost like I didn't deserve it, which was probably some other aspect, actually. Which
can't join my own party.
Yeah, I can remember. I'm a Sag, so my birthday, well, is in the winter. In December, yeah. I can remember.
Okay. I'm making notes. It all makes a lot of sense to me right now. That a creative block, that's something that you would really enjoy and would be exciting to you to feel your creativity. And you're not able to right now. This hoarding problem is blocking all of that. The same way that the asthma was blocking your life, your fun, your excitement, joy.
Yeah, oh, yeah. I mean, it's not that I haven't had any in life, I have, but it's actually got worse over the last few years in terms of stuff and documents, rather, not paperwork, documents. Because I was really ill. Before that, I was working flat out, then I was really ill, and it just sort of went boom and grew like Topsy. It was just awful.
Does it feel like you have to keep the documents, like because maybe they were part of, doctor orders or something like that? They feel important.
I mean, not recyclable stuff, but obvious recyclable stuff, but you know, there's paperwork relating to all sorts of things like insurance and health.
Oh, your microphone is muted right now. Chrissy, your mic is turned off. I can't hear her.
Chrissy, your mic is turned off. Wow, why is that happening?
Maybe she bumped something.
Yeah. Chrissy, can you hear us? Are you hearing us okay? I don't think she hears us either.
Okay. We can't hear you.
Point to your ear, maybe.
Hear you. No, can't hear you. Okay. She's trying to fix it. Oh, you're back.
I am back. Yeah, I didn't realize it had gone off.
Just for a minute or so. Did you want to tell me something else, or are you ready to move on to the next place?
Yeah, no, by all means move on. Yeah.
Okay. So the next step, we're going to use the magnets again. Since you don't have them, I'm going to direct you how to use your hand. But it's like a pattern interrupter. When you feel that kind of grief that you felt at one and that you're feeling again now, that is Rowan's grief, the magnet's just going to kind of send the message that we can do something different and kind of break up this pattern. So I'm going to have you think about the grief you felt of your dad's when you were age 1, because he felt helpless when you were not able to breathe.
Okay.
Yay. I'm going to test. Okay, so red and red makes it strong. If you would, this is going to be difficult. You need the back of your hand over your right lung if you can. So I don't know if you can see kind of right here.
Oh, my left hand. Oh.
Any hand you can get there, that's tricky. Even like this is okay if you want to do it like just the back of your fingers. Yeah, that
Okay.
works. The back of the other hand over your forehead. That's the emotion points. So the right lung we're holding there because that is where the grief is being stored in your body.
Yeah.
And we're also going to support the emotion points at the same time. So same as last time, I want you to take 3 deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. And as you exhale out, intentionally think about that grief from age 1 and just letting it leave your body. All right, so go ahead and take a deep breath in and let it out. Breath in and out. Yep. One more breath in and let it out. Good job. So now I'm just going to ask again, muscle testing, if there are any more emotions on this picture at age 1. I'm getting yes. Is it in the liver? It's depression. Okay, so at age 1, is this my depression? This is dad's depression. Dad's depression. So dad's feeling grief and depression on this picture with you when you're 1.
I don't think they felt, well, both of them, I don't think felt depression, but just great anxiety, worry.
If you're okay with it, we'll clear. Depression is held in your liver. So if you're fine with it, we will go ahead and do the clearing. And in statements, if you want, we can say more words like worry and panic instead. But it's I think it's important to just follow the muscle testing, even when you're kind of not on the same page with it.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna think dad's depression. Okay. Depression is a stuck feeling. That's actually one of the stages of healing, and it is I'm stuck. So that does actually match what you were saying about him feeling pretty helpless and being able to change things for you.
Actually
I don't
stuck.
think I'm sorry.
Yeah, stuck is a good word. I've never been, oh, I have been in the past, but not often actively depressed, if you see what I mean. I'm quite a buoyant and an optimistic person, but yeah, there's always this background. I mean, I did once have a mini breakdown, but that was something else. But I'm not an active depressive, if you see what I mean, the difference.
I do understand. I'm not trying to say your dad was either. It's just this one little snapshot at age 1, and it makes sense imagining that he saw his 1-year-old suffering like that and really felt stuck, wanting to help.
And my mum.
Yes, your mom too. So this time you're gonna hold on the right side under your rib cage with the palm side of your hand, so flat like this.
Oh,
there.
right, yeah.
Okay, and then the back of your hand on your forehead. Okay.
Oh, am I supposed to be holding the right side or the left side of my body under my rib cage?
The right side.
The right side, yeah, okay.
Yes. Okay, and as you exhale this time, I want you to think about letting go of Dad's depression or stuck feeling in this situation, right?
Okay.
So deep breath in and let it out. Breath in. Let it out. Again. Okay, and let's do that one more time.
Okay.
Okay. Very good. So I'm just going to ask again, are there any more emotions on this picture at age 1? And getting no.
Let him go.
So
Happy to let go. Happiness.
all right, we are going to go into some forgiveness statements that I told you about. This is the last step of the procedure. I did test that this picture for you is a trauma. So I think you knew, you've said many times already that the asthma attacks were very traumatic for you. This is testing as a phase 1 trauma. So a little different than phase 2, where both sides of the brain go offline. But in phase 1, we're trying to activate the left side of the brain to come back online and sort of help out, because the right side is kind of going crazy and like fight or flight mode. You're really activated on the right side and trying to get yourself to feel safe again. So
Sure.
we would use magnets if we were in person. I would do magnets over your head, but since we can't, I'm going to have you tap along the left side of your head as best as you can.
Okay.
Perfect.
Just
Okay.
along the top and the side.
If you feel like you want to go up to the top, just kind of follow what you're feeling. That's okay. But yeah, and if your arm gets real tired or something, it's okay if you need a break.
Okay.
So the last part we're going to go over is forgiveness statements. I'll tell you a statement kind of broken down in little chunks, and you can repeat after me. And after each one, we're going to take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth.
And am I tapping all the way through?
I'd like you to tap through the whole forgiveness, as long as you're okay with that.
Yeah, fine.
Okay. And if I say something that you really feel know that's absolutely not true and you just really don't want to, try to use your judgment if it's just sort of a resistance to going there, or if you really need, I can kind of reword the statement in a way that makes more sense for you.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So when you're ready, just go ahead and take a deep breath in to settle in. Okay. I forgive myself for believing.
I forgive myself.
For
believe-
believing.
On believing.
For believing. Yeah. I forgive myself for believing that
I forgive-
this overwhelming feeling
This overwhelming feeling
is always going to be true this way in my life.
is always going to be true this way in my life.
Take a deep breath. Yeah. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
that I'm always going to have this creative block, or this block to my creativity.
that I'm always going to have this block to my creativity.
Take a deep breath. I forgive myself for every time
I forgive myself for every time
I have felt fear and terror,
I have felt fear and terror,
believing that my life is stuck this way.
believing that my life is stuck this way.
Take a deep breath. I forgive myself
I forgive myself
for believing
for believing
that this creative block
that this creative block
and the hoarding,
of the hoarding and the hoarding
and the overwhelming weight
and the overwhelming weight
really are who I am.
really aren't who I am.
Take a deep breath.
Yep.
Just take a deep breath in and let it out.
All right. Done.
Okay. I say yes
I say yes
to the grief and depression
to the grief and depression
that I felt for my dad
that I felt for my dad.
when I was 1 year old.
Sorry, what was the last bit?
When I was 1 year old.
When I was, well, 18 months old.
Okay. Yeah, it's okay. It's kind of a window.
Yeah.
Because he felt helpless
Because he felt helpless
and he really wanted to make things better for me.
and he really wanted to make things better for me.
Yeah. And I call these emotions up
And I call these emotions up,
from my body, mind, and spirit,
my body, mind, and spirit,
and I release them to divine love and mercy.
and I release them to the divine
Love and mercy.
of her mercy.
All right, and take a deep breath. Yeah, I forgive myself for believing.
I forgive myself for believing.
I have to feel overwhelm and panic
My overwhelm and panic
every time I look at my stuff,
every time I look at myself.
at my stuff, this stuff in your house.
Every time I look at my.
Yeah, just like I did when I was 1 and I couldn't breathe.
Just like I did when I was 1 and I couldn't breathe.
Take a deep breath in. Let it all the way out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. So I forgive my 1-year-old self
I forgive my 1-year-old self
for having asthma.
for having had, no, for having had what?
For having asthma.
Oh, for having asthma, sorry.
Yeah. And believing that it was her fault.
And that believing it was my fault.
Take a deep breath in. All the way in and all the way out. Yeah. I forgive my 1-year-old self for believing
I forgive my 1-year-old self for believing
that she wasn't worthy or deserving
that she wasn't worthy or deserving
of fun and excitement and creativity
of fun, excitement, and creativity
and happiness
and happiness.
because of her problem breathing.
I'm not having a problem breathing.
Take a deep breath. You're doing a great job with the breathing now. I'm realizing I'm asking you to breathe deeply so often, and this
It's
whole
okay.
problem is around breathing. So you're doing great.
I have done yoga.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I do know. Yeah, thank you. And I'm okay. I haven't got a chest infection, so I can breathe okay.
Okay. Yeah. I forgive my 1-year-old self
I forgive my 1-year-old self
for believing she's not allowed to enjoy herself
for believing she's not allowed to enjoy herself
or her life.
or her life.
Take a deep breath. I forgive myself. I forgive my 1-year-old self for believing
I forgive my 1-year-old self for believing
that all the best things in life are for other people,
that all the best things in life are for other people,
but not me.
but not me.
Oh, take a deep breath. Hmm. I forgive myself now for allowing all of this stuff
I forgive myself now for allowing all of this stuff
to get in my way of the life I want.
to get in the way of the life I want.
Take a deep breath. I forgive any part of me
I forgive any part of me
that's still believing
that's still believing
I don't deserve to have the life that I want.
that I don't deserve to have the life that I want.
Take a deep breath. I forgive myself for being afraid
I forgive myself for being afraid.
every time I try to clear this stuff out of my life
Every time I try to clear the stuff out of my life
and make life look more the way I want it to.
and that my life
And
look more than I want it to.
yeah, because when I was 1
Because when I was 1
and at other times in my childhood,
and other times in my childhood,
when I got excited, I couldn't breathe.
when I got excited, I couldn't breathe.
Take a deep breath. I give my body permission
I give my body permission
to pay attention fully
to pay attention fully
to the grief and depression that I've carried
to this grief and depression that I carry,
since age 1,
each one,
for my dad.
and stage 1 for my
I'm saying
dad.
since age 1.
Oh, and it's 1 for my dad.
Yeah. And take a deep breath. Do you think that there's still, you can rest from tapping for a moment. Do you think there's still a real fear of the asthma going on? Like you said, I know you said it's more under control now and you're on medications, but is that more a thing of the past? That fear that you might really get an attack again and not be able to breathe?
No, because subsequently I haven't had the last asthma. I'm 72, and the last asthma I had was in my 20s.
Oh.
Um,
Okay, that helps
But-
me with.
but since then I've had chest infections and pneumonia and pleurisy, and they were pretty nasty. But it's not the same. It's not the
Okay.
same.
So I would like you to say, I give my body permission
I give my body permission
to pay attention completely.
to pay attention completely.
Yeah, that we don't have to worry about asthma
We don't have to worry about asthma
the way I did when I was younger.
the way I did when I was younger.
That was then,
That was then,
and this is now.
and this is now.
Take a deep breath. Yeah. I give myself permission
I give myself permission
to let go of this grief and depression
to let go of this grief and depression
for Dad and for Rowan.
for Dad and for Rowan,
Yeah, so I have more room in my life
so I have more room in my life
for happiness,
for happiness,
relaxation, and love.
relaxation, and love.
Take a deep breath. Yeah, I forgive my body and mind for being reminded
I forgive my body and mind for being reminded
of this panic and grief
of this panic and grief
every time I feel helpless in my life,
every time I feel helpless in my life,
the way my dad felt helpless when I was 1.
the way my dad felt helpless when I was 1.
And take a deep breath. I give myself permission to know.
I give myself permission to go.
To know.
Oh, to know
Yeah, that without this pattern,
that without this pattern,
I'm free to see,
I'm free to see
that the stuff overwhelming my life
that the stuff overwhelming my life
is not the same as the problems I had with asthma.
is not the same as the problems I had with asthma.
No, I can let it go.
I can let it go.
Take a deep breath. Yeah, I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
that I really have a problem with too much stuff,
that I really have a problem with so much stuff,
when the truth is I have a problem with old memories.
and the truth is I have a problem with false memories.
Yeah,
Those
and
mem-
yeah, with old memories. Old memories.
with all those memories.
And take a deep breath. I forgive all the people and situations in my childhood
I forgive all the people and situations in my childhood
that hurt my feelings
that hurt my feelings
when I couldn't be apart
when I couldn't be apart
because of my asthma.
because of my asthma.
And take a deep breath. I forgive myself for believing I did anything that caused this.
I forgive myself for believing I did anything that caused this.
Take a deep breath. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
that this hidden memory at age 1
this hidden memory at age 1
with my dad has to change
with my dad has to change
before I can love and accept myself the way I am now
before I can love and accept myself where I am now
and create a life that I will love to live.
and create a life that I want to live.
Take a deep breath. Yeah. Without this grief and depression,
Without this grief and depression,
I'm free to be happier
I'm free to be happier
and lighter.
and lighter.
Yes. Take a deep breath. We're going to jump back a little bit for a moment. So I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
that all those times I had asthma attacks
that all those times I had asthma
and all that trauma has to change
and all that trauma has to change
before I can love and accept myself and my life now.
before I can love and accept myself and my life now.
Take a deep breath in and let it out. Without this pattern, I'm free
Now, without this pattern, I'm free
to forgive asthma,
to forgive asthma,
to forgive myself,
to forgive myself,
to forgive all the stuff that's cluttering up my life.
forgive all the stuff that's cluttering up my life.
And take a deep breath. Without this pattern, do you feel okay to stop tapping?
I'm okay, tapping.
Okay. Without this pattern,
Without this pattern,
I'm free to step fully into my power
I'm free to step fully into my power
and responsibility
and responsibility
to make my life what I want it to be.
to make my life what I want it to be.
Yes. Whether that's one moment at a time
Whether that's one moment at a time,
or one room at a time
or one room at a time,
or all at once.
all I want.
Yeah. And take a deep breath. Yeah. I call up the shame
I call up the shame
from wherever it's stored in my body
from wherever it's stored in my body
that I feel around this hoarding problem
I feel around this holding problem
and that I felt as a child
and that I felt as a child
when I couldn't be part of the group
when I couldn't be part of the group
because I couldn't breathe.
because I couldn't breathe.
And I released it. I don't know what your are you okay with the word God or source or anything like that?
Yeah, hang on. I just hold on a minute. It's gone. uh,
I still see you. No, I don't see you.
right. Yeah, it's gone down to my battery's low. Sorry, I'm on a phone and my battery's down to 5%.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, I am. I usually call it the universal. Yes,
Okay.
source.
So I'll finish quickly and hopefully you won't run out of battery. So I just want you to, I send that shame
I send that shame,
from any of my cells
any of myself,
out into the universe.
out to the universe.
Yeah. So that I can be clear
So that I can
and light,
be clear and life
clearer and lighter.
and lighter.
Yeah. And take a deep breath. Okay. So I usually ask, is there anything that comes to your mind that, like as we were going through those statements, that like maybe a new awareness or anything where you think we need to put some more time and attention?
No, that felt really good. I like the tapping because is that connected with EFT? Emotional freedom technique?
I'm familiar with EFT and it's usually, you know, different tapping points, but it's about balancing the brain and
Okay.
inviting your brain to be in a balanced state and really be more consciously aware. And
Right.
when you were a child, that wasn't okay. You know, you were really fearing for your life in those moments. And
Yeah.
so that's just carried forward with you.
Yeah.
Like when you feel those same kind of feelings, like the grief, even though it belongs to Rowan right now, you're feeling it and that your body is being triggered back to that same camp.
Yeah. Yeah.
You did really well. So to finish up, I'm going to retest distress and stage of healing and a few of the things that we did at the very beginning, and we'll just see how you've progressed after this work. I definitely would think that you could go further with this. This is a huge, impactful trauma, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you could probably hit on a lot of instances of those asthma attacks and feel lighter and freer every time. But for today, in the sake of time, I'm going to see where your distress is when you go back to thinking about the original focus of the creative block and the overwhelming weight of all the stuff.
Yeah.
So if you just let that come back to your mind. Okay, so I'm muscle testing that your distress went from a 9 to, it tested 9 to 10, it's down to a 6, which is good.
Yeah.
The stage of healing you started in 2, which is like a feeling of, I hate this, why me? That's kind of where the problem began. And your ending, let's see, the message of healing, is it a 1, 2, 3, 6?
Yeah. It's a feeling, thinking about it has lessened. It's not as important. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm testing you're up to 7. 7 is creation of new life. That means like change and opportunity. Things that have seemed unattainable are available, ready to happen now. Like it's here. You're ready to go out there and, or maybe you're ready to even get to this focus of clearing up your space.
Yeah.
And this tool is available for you if you find yourself stuck. That's how I use it personally. When I find myself at another block, I usually get more EPT and keep moving forward. It's fantastic. Thank you. Oh, I'll recheck one more thing. If you would try the statement again, I can pay attention.
I can pay attention.
That one is strong. Let's see. And I can let go.
I can let go.
I feel strong.
Very
Thank
different.
you for working with me. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
trusting me and trying out a new thing. And I
No,
hope
thank
that
you very much, Chloe. Thank you. That was great. That was great. I enjoyed working with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.